All right, students, so today we are making our microwave blueberry coffee cake. And as you can see on your recipe, the very first instruction is to grind our graham cracker into little bits using our blender. I'm just gonna use my hands to crush it up. We just want fine little crumbs. If you wanna put it on your countertop and crunch it up too, that's okay. So we're just gonna make it so that we just have little crumbs. Just like that. It does not have to be perfect. So you can see that we still have a few big chunks, and that's okay. We'll just keep going. So now that we have our little crumbs, we'll look at step number 2 is to create a bundt style pan using a glass pie plate and glass cup. So this is just a regular pie plate. Some of you may have this, some of you may not, but in this class we'll use this to cook our cake. So we have this, and then I just took a glass cup from kitchen 1 and we put it exactly in the center. If you put it off to the side, you're gonna have a really weird cake because it's all gonna come around the cup. So instead we want to create kind of like a bundt pan where the middle part, where the cup is exactly in the middle, and then it's kind of like a donut that wraps around. So with this, the reason why we put the middle piece in is so that those microwaves can come to this cup and reflect off of it and cook our cake more evenly. So it's going to make it so that it cooks faster and so that it cooks it more thoroughly. So now that that is right in the middle, we are going to grease it. So we just grab our non-stick cooking spray, and I'm going to spray the cup first. We're just going to spray the outside. It's going to get really slick, so do your best. And I even dropped it, see? So it is slick. So now we are going to use this and just spray it all the way around. As you can see, this spray comes out really fast. So I recommend holding it about 10 to 12 inches away from what you're spraying and then spraying it. Otherwise, it's going to go all over the ground, all over your countertops, and it's going to create a hazard for your teammates. So just be aware of that, but it does come out fast. Let's see, our next instruction is to sprinkle the graham cracker crumbs evenly over the surface. So let's go ahead. I'm going to change my gloves because they got pretty sticky with the cooking spray. All right. So we will go ahead and open up our bag. Okay, and we'll just take little handfuls and just sprinkle them all the way around this dish. So we just go ahead and open up our bag. We'll just shake them out onto our plate. And then you can use your gloves to move them around once they're on the plate. So we'll just kind of scoot them around till they're evenly coated. Okay. And then our next direction, this is number 5, is in a medium-sized bowl. We are going to measure and add the flour. I already did this for this demonstration. We are going to measure and add the sugar, the baking powder, and the salt. So I'll go ahead and measure the butter, or not the butter, the sugar, and we will get this mixed up. I'll just scoop it, level it off like this. For our previous lab, I saw a lot of people holding our flat edge spatula like this. We want to keep it perpendicular to our measuring cup so that we can just glide it across the top. So keep that in mind for lab tomorrow. And then I've already measured out the baking powder and the salt. So I'm just just going to go ahead and add that in. Tomorrow in your kitchens, you will have to measure out these ingredients. Okay, and then I'm just gonna grab a regular cereal spoon and just mix this up so that all of those dry ingredients get evenly distributed. This is just like your cookies last week. How we do the dry ingredients first and make sure everything is mixed up well. And then we add in the other ingredients. Okay, so then it says in a covered microwave safe dish, melt the butter. So in my cereal bowl, I'll just take and melt this butter. I'm removing the wax paper. And we're just gonna put it in the microwave for about 15 seconds. It's just a few seconds longer. So we want it nice and bubbly and melted just like that. So we will go ahead and we're going to set that aside for just a second. Then in our small mixing bowl, we're going to beat the egg. So we'll crack it into our bowl. I have just a tiny bit of shell. So what you can do is use the other part of the shell to just scoop it right out. I don't know if you can see that, but you just put it in, kind of use this as a little spoon. And what happens is the parts of the shell are attracted to each other because of their composition, because of their chemical composition. And so they'll attract to each other, and it's easier to get your shell out than try and reach your fingers in and get out that shell. So I have found it most helpful to use the shell to get out any pieces that remain behind. So next we are going to beat the egg, and I'm just going to use a fork for this. So the way that you beat your egg is you just move your fork really, really fast, and you want to make it so that you can't tell the difference between the egg white and the egg yolk. So I kind of use this circular motion, you can see it in the mirror above, to beat up my eggs. All right, so if we look at it, you can't tell a huge difference between the egg yolk and the egg white, so it looks like we're pretty good. I'm just gonna give it another beat. Okay, so after that, we add the milk and our melted butter to this mixture. So we'll go ahead and add those in. We have this nice combination of our wet ingredients. Okay, so then I'm just going to give that a little stir with my flexible spatula. It's kind of starting to foam up, but that's okay. All right, so next we have, we are on step number 8. So on this recipe, for whatever reason, it forgot to include this step, but we have to add our dry ingredients and our wet ingredients. So between number 7 and number 8, you might want to write that down so you remember tomorrow that you're going to mix both the wet ingredients and the dry ingredients. So if you want to write that down, you can. So we'll just pour in those wet ingredients into our larger bowl that has the dry ingredients. And I'm just going to use my flexible spatula to just ease those ingredients together. We don't need to go fast. We just want to make sure everything is evenly combined. So it's looking more like a batter if you've ever made like a cake before, or different kinds of bread, like a banana bread. This is looking more and more like batter, which is just what we want. So we want to keep mixing this together until the batter is mostly smooth. So keep just mixing that together. Okay, so now it's mostly smooth. Do you see the difference there? Do you see how it's mostly smooth? We have little tiny clumps, but those are okay. We just want to make sure for the most part it's smooth. So the next step is to fold in the blueberries. Do any of you know what folding in means? You know?
You were doing rotational motion, they lift the batter up and then fold it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a gentle motion with your spatula. It is kind of like this constant turning that I'm doing right here. So we just use our spatula and we just turn it over. So I'm going to add my blueberries. I already washed these before class, and all of yours have been washed too, but for people at home, they need to remember to wash their blueberries. So we'll just dump those in. And instead of just hurrying and putting all of this together, we're just going to fold it in. So what we're doing is we are evenly distributing those blueberries by just casually putting them in. We're just turning over that spatula. Okay? If we were to go really fast, it would break down those blueberries and then all of our cake would turn blue because of the really vivid blue color in our blueberries. So next we have pour the batter evenly around the prepared pan. So I'm going to do this in little pockets so that we have the batter evenly distributed. I might even do this with a measuring cup. So I'm just gonna take, it doesn't matter what kind of measuring cup you use, but I'm just gonna drop portions of my cake batter into this pan. So the goal is to do it. Normally I wouldn't do this if we didn't have a crust, but because of the graham crackers in there, if we pour it all into one spot, it's not going to spread around. And then if you try and mix it up, it's gonna make a big mess and your graham crackers are gonna move out of place. So we're just going to drop it evenly around our dish here. Okay. So we'll just drop it around. And then you can use your spatula to get the rest of it out of your cup and into your bowl like this. Okay. And I'm going to use my spatula to get out the rest of this and just evenly distribute that. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and microwave it after I get out these last few bits of batter. Okay. So we're going to put it in for 5 minutes. Okay, so we'll just take this whole thing and put it in our microwave. And we want it on high. So the automatic setting on most microwaves is the high setting, that is the number 10. there are buttons called the power level buttons that you can press and adjust the power level. For this recipe, we just need to use high, so we're good. So while this cake is cooking and standing, let's prepare our glaze. We're going to mix our powdered sugar, lemon juice, and water. So I'm going to get out another another mixing bowl. A small one is fine. I'm going to put on some more gloves. Okay, and we are just going to pour our powdered sugar in here. And then we have lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice. And then we also need a ½ tablespoon of water. Okay. So we'll go ahead and combine all 3 of those. And then we will use a whisk to go ahead and beat those up. So with our whisk, we're just gonna make our glaze really, really nice and light. Okay, do you see how it's kind of turning into frosting? It's gonna be really, really good. Has anyone ever baked in the microwave like this before? I hadn't either. It's kind of cool. All right, so our glaze is ready. So you can tell it's kind of has a really nice glossy texture. It's also nice and runny, just like we want. It's gonna be good. Can you smell the cake? Oh, I can, I guess because I'm sitting close by it, but it smells really good. All right, and we have 2 more minutes on that timer. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my dishes in the sink. We are done using them. You lucky ducks get to watch me clean. It's everything you've ever hoped for. You have to smell it now. Can you smell anything? I think it smells really good. So we have 20 seconds still, and then it needs to stand for 3 minutes. So we have some time still. All right, right, so our standing time is going to start. I'm gonna go ahead and set our microwave timer for 3 minutes. But it's deciding that it doesn't want to work. Oh, there we go. So it's going to stand for 3 minutes. So remind me, what does the standing time do? Why is it important for our food? Yeah.
It lets it finish cooking.
Exactly right. It helps it to finish cooking. So there's no heat or anything. It's just those internal heat particles are moving around our food to distribute the heat. So that's why some people have really, really freezing parts of their, really cold parts of their food, and why other parts are piping hot. It's because they didn't allow it to stand and distribute that heat. So for example, with Hot Pockets, it seems like there's no happy medium. But if you're patient and use that standing time, it's better. Okay? Sweet. So we'll just go ahead and wait for that standing time to finish. We're only a minute down on it, but it feels longer. Standing time is the best. Okay, so our standing time is over. Ooh, this looks really good, you guys. So I'm going to grab some hot pads because it's going to be really, really hot. Okay, here it is. Is that kind of cool? I think that's kind of cool. I've never baked as much before. So now what we're going to do is flip this upside down onto this plate, and then we'll put the glaze on it. So this is pretty hot, so I'm gonna use a hot pad, but we're just gonna grab that cup out of the middle. Okay? It doesn't wanna come, so we're going to force it somehow. There we go. Okay, we're gonna take the cup out, and then we'll use our hot pads to take it out. It looks like the edges are pretty stuck to the sides, so I'm just going to use a quick little flexible spatula to go around the sides and just loosen them, just like this. Okay, we just want to loosen it from those sides. that's my cue. I have 10 minutes left. So go ahead and flip it upside down. Okay, you can let it sit for just a minute, and then it should just come right out. So here's what it looks like. You might even just let it sit, even though it's not right on to the plate. And we'll use a spoon, just a regular cereal spoon, to put that glaze on top. Okay, and since this cake is really hot, that glaze is going to melt down and spread a lot better. So you can just drizzle it on for right now, and then as it sits, it's going to spread out. Okay, and then you can go back and fill in those spots where it didn't get very much. Okay. If you get really fancy, you can do different designs with your glaze, but this is just a quick demonstration. All right, I'm thinking that looks pretty good. So this is what you will be making tomorrow in lab. So cameraman, go ahead and stop our demonstration.